Man, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I want to dive into your story. So you dreamt of being an announcer and you did things to get a foot in the door, like fight management. But can you tell me about when you got that call, that first call for UFC 10, the moment you'd been waiting for? What did that mean to you in that moment, and how did it come about?
I had originally gone down to UFC 8 in Bayamon, Puerto Rico in 1996, and I had a fighter, like you said, managing, but I wasn't interested in managing fighters. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a great job. But my focus was more on what I wanted was to be standing center octagon and developing my career and helping build the UFC brand. So I brought my fighter down. As you know, in the first fight, I announced the prelims, and then I kept asking for the job because I come from the theory of thought. You have to ask for the job. If you want something, you ask for it. And I would stop off in New York, take them out to drinks, do whatever, where their offices were, calling them, getting on them. Finally, I got a call, and I was in the hospital with my mom, who had a serious operation at the time, and she was recovering the day after. And the call came in saying, "We need you in Alabama in 2 days to announce all of UFC 10." And I'm like, "Well, I'd love to, that's what I'm waiting for, but I'm sitting here with my mother in the hospital, and I'll call you back because I've got some serious stuff going on right now." And few words were exchanged. I hung up the phone, and my mom looked at me, and I thought she was asleep. And she said, "That's the call you've been waiting for, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, it is, Mom." And she goes, "Go. You got to go."
Wow.
And it was just like a scene. I've said this before in interviews, but it was a scene like out of Rocky, when his wife is suffering, she's pregnant, she goes into a coma, she doesn't want him to fight, doesn't want him to train. And then she wakes up, looks at him, realizes this is what he wants, what he's dreaming of. And she says, "Win." Right.
Wow.
Same thing. So I ran out to Alabama, did the show, came back. Thought I did a good job. Obviously, it's a lot different than the way I announced today. Everything's an evolutionary process. And I didn't get the call to come back to the next show. They hired somebody else, and it was a friend of the producers. And that's fine. He had a good voice, a little nervous in the service, screwing up a few names, and it gave me more fodder to call back and repitch myself. And eventually, about 6 months or so later, I got a call from the owner saying that Warner Brothers wanted to check and get audio and pictures of me because they wanted a real announcer to play the role of the octagon announcer in the show they were doing on Friends, the famous TV show, which was the Ultimate Champion that had Tank Abbott and Big John McCarthy and me on, co-starring as myself, because they gave me the job, and I used that as a bartering tool with the owner of the UFC, saying, "Look, finally, finally, you're on, getting huge publicity. You're on one of the biggest shows, if not the biggest comedy on TV. I'm co-starring as myself. Let's stop screwing around. I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to the prom. It's like I'm standing against the wall. I'm not going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you one more time. We either do this and I grow with you as the announcer, help you build this brand, and we create history together, or bye-bye. I got other things to do." Best poker hand I ever played. And I announced every single UFC for the next probably 15 years until they brought in a backup announcer, to fill in, a couple of them to fill in for me when I couldn't physically be in two places at one time. And now it's a good thing too, because there's so many shows and they want to rest me, but I don't rest. I'll go do a NASCAR event, or I'll do a big sporting event, or maybe I will rest. It depends. But I love being in the octagon. That's my office.
So when they hired someone else, a lot of people in your position might have just given up there and, thought, okay, it didn't play out the way I wanted it to. Is that something that's always been in you, where you just, you don't take no for an answer, and you go after what you want because you have that passion for it?
Yeah, that's the key, is to have the passion for it. I always tell everybody, if you're to make money in life, the greatest and perfect scenario, one of them is to find your passion. And if you can monetize your passion, then you're going to be much better equipped to deal with the negatives along with the positives, the failures along with the successes. And like Rocky said, when you get knocked down, get up and move forward, punching harder than ever. And yes, the answer to your question is yes. That's who I am. I've always been that way.
Yeah. And you are an absolute workhorse. You've torn 2 ACLs. You're traveling up and down the country, worldwide. You're a
Yeah.
real road dog, man. So what is it that keeps you grinding? What is it that goes, I'm not going to rest? Is it just that passion for what you do? And how important do you think that it is to love what we do in life?
Well, it is the passion for what I do. It's my respect for the fighters that I announce. It's the enjoyment of who I work for. It's the love of the great fans around the world. Of the UFC are the greatest fans in the world, because the show's not about me. It's about the fighters, and it's about the entertainment for the fans. And this is the role that I picked. This is the path that I chose. And when you pick a path and you step on that path, as I say at the end of my podcast, You got to be equipped to be the best you can be and do the best job you can, because then you're winning. Now, if you become the best at what you do, or make the most money at what you do, or whatever the positive, results are, then you're winning even more. So yes, it involves passion. And quite frankly, if I can't go after something with that attitude, then I don't want to do it. There's no reason to. Why would I want to do it? But I'm in that position that I'm able to do that for myself now. But I've owned my own company since I was 19. So I've, always taken a leadership approach and always been the first one of my endeavors to step out and make it happen. If I don't make it happen, it's not going to happen. So I don't wait for things to happen. I make them happen. And if they're not going to happen, you got to realize, just like anything, like a poker hand, when it's time to fold, when it's time to push all your chips in, or when it's time to get up and walk to another table, right? Or just leave the game. The game's not for you.
And speaking of just making things happen, you were managing your brother Michael and you were doing really well from a business aspect. And most people would love to be in the position you were in. But, you said you were going to sell everything you own, you were going to quit on the money you have, and you were going to go and make your dream come true. How scary was that risk that you took to, leave all that behind and pursue something else? Or was there an easy decision because of how badly you wanted it?
It was a decision that was made and very well thought out. And I was at a point in my life making very, very good, really good money with the one company and the other company I owned and was involved with. And it was just a decision that was actually, at the time, because of how burnt out I was just willing to make that decision. I wanted it. And the fact that I made that decision gave me a new challenge, which I'm always up for, that incensed me more than ever. I realized that inside the fire I had to make this happen, even though Michael looked at me and said, "How are you going to do it? I mean, you're going to give all this up. How are you going to do it?" I said, "Well, if I'm going to give all this up, you better believe I will do it. But I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'll figure it out." I just wanted to roll the dice. I was just willing to do it, quit with the money I had in the bank, and had a beach house, huge mortgage, and everything that went with it, and basically just said, I'll keep all this. I'll still make all this work. And I did, you know.
Now, when people look into your background, you've done a fair bit of motivational speaking in your time, and you're obviously extremely successful, both in, this line of work and business. And it makes me wonder if, that those immortal words, "it's time." Does that mean anything deeper than just it's time for the main event?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all stemmed from the fact that for many, many years in the morning, when I would wake up, look in the mirror, shaving, whatever, it's time. It's time to have the best day possible. It's time to be better than I was yesterday. I'm only as good as today, right? I don't live on my laurels. I don't talk about how I was top salesman, 2 weeks ago, how I did a 360 in the octagon at UFC 100, 10, 12 years ago. It's not about that. Every night I go out in the octagon, as well as every night that I start work, now's the time to prove to myself that I'm the best that I can be, that I'm doing this job and deserve this job and deserve all the benefits I'm getting from all my work. So in life, when you're in business, the trip up to where you reach that success point, yes, it's tough, but that's not the toughest part. To maintain it, that's the hardest part, right? I'm not saying it's impossible. If you love what you do, you love doing it. So if you don't stay on top of things, if you don't try to be the best you can be, then you start falling back down, right? I'm not into falling down. I'm into staying here or moving up. And I'm constantly looking up.
In your line of work where you are, you're the cream of the crop, and
Thank you.
most announcers, they look up to you to set the
Thank you.
bar. How do you motivate yourself to find ways to keep improving if you're at the top of the game? There's not many people you can look up to and say, "I need to get to that level. I need to do what they're doing." How do you know how you grow?
It's all self-motivation. If you I get motivated by people around me, my family, my loved ones, people that really push me. I have grand responsibilities, as we all do, to my family and such, and that's motivation in itself. Because I'm out here doing everything I do every day to not just for myself, I'm doing it for the people around me before myself. And I have a support group that I love and I have to take care of. I'm a pillar to my family, and that motivates me tremendously to do everything I need to do. They're also my biggest fans. So I get motivated by them and I get that input. And it just it just fuels my fire. I wake up every day not going to work. I wake up every day living a lifestyle, right?
Mm.
And I tell everybody out there, this is why I say monetize your passions, because then you're actually living a lifestyle. Sure, I got tons to do today. I'll get more done today than most men get done in 3 days in their work. Why? Because I've just been that way my whole life. I don't lag. Give me my cup of coffee. Let me go to work. You know, just do what it takes. But you got to remember, I love what I do. Today I'm going to work on my toiletry line on the Puncher's Chance bourbon I have coming out. I got work on that. I've got videos to film. I've got uh, proposals to write. At home, my fight cards for UFC coming up on Saturday. I probably will be working 12 hours today. People think sometimes all I do is I walk in the octagon and do my thing. Yeah, I do that, but that's my weekend warrior. Boy Scouts go to camp. I'm away for the weekend. During the week, I work like everybody else, and again, if you love what you do, then it's just what I do. I'm going to have a lot of fun today. I'm not going to be grinding, going, oh, I got so much work. No, I can't wait to get to the next thing.
There's that saying that, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day in your life.
Yeah,
And
true.
there's so many people out there who, they're making that 5-for-2 trade. So they trade in 5 days of their life in a job they hate to get 2 days back on the weekend. Are you the type of person that, through loving what you do, you want to get that Friday feeling every day of the week, not just at the end as a reward?
I do, but you got to remember that my Fridays are usually hopping on a plane and going to work on the weekend. So I'm working 7 days a week, if you want to call it work. It is work, but it's a different kind of work. It's pleasurable work.
One thing I really wanted to ask you, because, in what you do, you have the world watching you in one moment, and it's live TV. So any slip up, for example, it can't be edited in that quick space of time. How do you personally manage pressure when, you're the messenger of the night, the whole world's watching, and if you slip up, it's on a global scale? Do you feel that pressure, and how do you, manage it?
No, I thrive on it.
Yeah.
It gets me going. I thrive on it. And also too, one of the aspects for me that works for me is I never rehearse.
Oh, wow.
So no, no, I want to go out there, feel the energy of the crowd when we have crowds. And even without a crowd, I can still bring that energy because I've done so many movies and TVs and videos, through at my site, brucebuffer.com. We provide championship intros and videos and audio recordings to fans and business, birth of babies, you name it, I do it. And a lot of those, when are in video, are in front of green screen, right? And I've got to give my all to make that video work. Or maybe I'm in a movie and I'm acting in front of a green screen, and I got to give my all to make it work. So when I walked down to the octagon with nobody in the audience in Jacksonville a few weeks ago, as I will this Saturday, it was just me and the fighters. It's me and the eye of the tiger, and I'm announcing them and bringing them to that top moment. So it's no problem. I can do it. I think I'm getting away from your initial question, but um, no, I got nervous my first fight at, Bayamon, Puerto Rico, UFC 8, obviously, because the first time I walked out. But it's like fighting, whenever I would fight or spar or whatever, first punch you take, first punch you land, then any nervousness you have goes out the door because every fighter's nervous before a fight, right? But now when I walk into the octagon, I don't get nervous. I just get excited. It's my adrenaline working. And the fact that I don't rehearse, I go out there and do it organically. And that way it works for me better because there's a rehearsal voice and there's an announcer voice. So I'll get the names down phonetically. If you want to call that rehearsing, I'll make sure I have their names down. But anything else, I don't know what I'm going to do till I do it, and that's the way it works better for me.
And you truly are one of the guys that you actually sort of, the fighters let you into their space. You sort of,
Yeah.
they sort of use you. Like I think of Dan Hardy or TJ Dillashaw, for example, all these guys that love having you part of their pre-fight build-up. And in saying that, you've shared the space with so many phenoms. So, John Jones, Silva, McGregor, Rousey, Nunes. You're around all these successful people, the cream of the crop. Have you noticed any common traits they share that sort of separate the best from the rest? Is it their confidence? Is it their mindset? What have you noticed among the elite?
Well, among the elite, they have what I call the it factor. And not that other fighters don't, but the it factor is not just how great you fight, it's the chemistry and charisma that you provide the fans. It's the way you carry yourself in and out of the octagon, and you have it factor people that come along like George St. Pierre, and they don't come along every year all the time. And Israel Adesanya has got an it factor. Ronda Rousey had the it factor. Conor McGregor, of course, has the it factor. Um, John Jones, an it factor there too. It's just it's something that just comes out. It's almost like it's charisma, but you can feel the passion and the realism for what they are setting out to do. You know, Conor McGregor getting 188 euros a month from welfare in Ireland, you know, going on to have, you know, 20 million in the bank or whatever it was, and then getting a major payday and working it out with the boxing event he did with Floyd Mayweather. I mean, who pulls that off? You have to have an it factor to pull that off. And that it factor can be in fans loving you. It could be in fans disliking you. And, you know, Connor's got fans that like him and dislike him, you know, from recent antics over the years. But the bottom line is that everybody's going to pay that pay-per-view and everybody's going to watch that pay-per-view, and he's got everybody captivated, right? So when Connor speaks, people listen, you know, and it's just the way it goes. We got to have the it factor to make that happen. And the man's got it. So it's it doesn't come along with everybody. And a lot of people try to copy it. But again, organically, and if it's in you naturally, it comes out real. If you try to fake it and try too hard, as some fighters try too hard to trash talk, it doesn't come out real, right? So we look at it and we accept it a little differently, and it causes people to stand out more or less, whatever. So there's many variables involved, but basically, bottom line is you either have it or you don't. You either realize you have it and exercise it and make it better, or you don't realize it because you don't realize what you have and you missed out.
Bruce, I appreciate your time, and I've got just a few more questions I got to ask you
Sure.
before you go, man.
No rush.
One of
It's
them
okay.
is, what advice would you give to those out there who, you know, they may have been lucky enough to find their passion, and it might be an obscure one. For example, yours, there was no clear pathway to success for an announcer when you sort of entered the sphere. What would your advice be to those, you know, starting out in their field and you know, not knowing the route to success? How do they go about finding it?
Very good question. And I'll tell you how I did it all my life. And this goes back to the first time I got a job as a telemarketer at 18 years old in college, and walked into the offices and saw these people selling on telephones. And I realized I looked at the best person. When you go into something, pick three people in your field that are successful. Pick three companies in the company field that you want to go into a business for that are successful. Look at them up and down, in and out, analyze them, see what makes them successful, what makes them tick. I'm not saying copy. What I'm saying is learn from them and mold it into your own individual personality and apply those success factors that they did, or it's obvious that they're doing, to your own personality and go for it. And then develop your own style as a result of observing what other people do and bringing it into what works for you. You will be recognized in life, especially, let's say, as an announcer, somebody wants to be an announcer. You won't be recognized and stand out by saying, it's time for this. Let's get ready for this. Let me be Bruce Buffer and move physically. I see people trying to copy, you know, the way I move, and it's like, first off, you're going to hurt your hip. Second off, that's not your style, right? Get your own style, and you will be recognized for yourself. When I got in the business of announcing, if anybody could have copied somebody, it was me. My brother's the greatest announcer of all time, the legendary Michael Buffer, known for Let's Get Ready to Rumble. I did not want to be, quote, Frank Sinatra Jr. I wanted to be Bruce Buffer, right? No offense to Frank Sinatra Jr., but I told myself if I couldn't develop my own style, be recognized for bringing something to the announcing game that nobody else has brought in the first 2-3 years, and realize that this is something that's going to catch on, and that's Bruce Buffer, be recognized for me, then I was going to quit. I didn't want to have that job. I either wanted to make my mark, be recognized my mark, be recognized for my individuality, and then concentrate on the evolutionary process of becoming the best announcer I can be for my style.
Mm.
And that takes time, you know, and eventually it's a process. You can see, if you look at the way I've announced over the years, I've gotten into this hone of the way I love to announce now, and that's me. That's pure passion, which allows the fighters, they recognize that, they allow me to enter their space. They interact with me like Dan Hardy, which was amazing, you know. TJ Dillashaw, Michael Chiesa now, you know, he gets me on the forehead with his forehead sometimes. These are great moments, and it's also a tremendous compliment to me. And I'm very humble about everything I do. Um, but it's not about the paycheck for me. I'll be the first one to cash the paycheck on a Monday. Trust me, at the bank. But I'm there for the experience, and everything goes into it. And again, that all comes back to passion. If everybody around me makes money, is happy and healthy, I know it'll all come back to me. I have a very unselfish theory of when I work with people.
That's fantastic advice, Bruce. And who are some of the people you've learned the most from in life? So maybe mentors you've had or people you look up to.
Definitely my father.
Yeah.
My father was my biggest teacher. And Biggest disciplinarian. Probably got me in more fights and introduced me to more girls than any best friend I ever had in my life. But he, Marine for 13 years, ran Fortune 500 companies here in the United States, never graduated high school, worked his way up the business ladder, salesman extraordinaire, entrepreneur extraordinaire, a man of class, and just if you know these actors, he's the old breed. It's kind of like John Wayne, Steve McQueen, and Errol Flynn all rolled up into one. He walked in a room, people wanted to meet him, fight him, know him, whatever. The charisma was there. A natural born leader. That's the father I had. I'd walk in a room and I'd say, Dad, how are you? Son, project your voice. Let them know you're in the room. Chest out, shoulders back. That doesn't happen very much today. It's an old breed type mentality, but I still carry it. And I instill it in my two boys too. I want them to be the best they can be able to handle what comes at them, whether it's this or whether it's this. They got to know how to handle both.
Amazing. So what are your learning materials now? Where do you look to grow? Are you a reader? Are there any books
Yes.
in particular? So what books, for example, have you read in your life that have had a big impact on you?
I'm not one to read the motivational books.
Okay.
I'm one to go out and do things to motivate myself and learn from them, which is what I teach in my motivational speeches. I love fiction and I love history. I'm a big collector of military antique weapons and artifacts. I don't hunt, but I'm a collector of weapons. I'm a big collector of movie memorabilia, sports memorabilia. I have very many varied interests, and my reading fuels the knowledge that I need for those interests. I'm a lover of biographies. I'm a film buff. I could talk movies all day long. I have outside interests that drive me. Something that gives me a different taste in life that I can go and get different flavors from. Right. So I'm very, 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 very. There's no book that's really stood out that said that's the way I need to lead my life, like a Zig Ziglar book or Tony Robbins. I'm not that kind of book reader. I sit in an audience listening to them speak, and the only thing I think about is that I should be on that stage. That's all I think about. I want to tell my story. I'm not saying I'm better than them. Don't get me wrong. But in life's like, I've said this before, but life's like a pyramid, okay? And at the top is the grandfather, the parents, the matriarch, everybody that runs the family down to the kids. In business, the president, the CEO, the vice presidents, down to the base of the people that pack the boxes, answer the phones, do whatever. Who's the most important? They're all important because, yes, the top runs it, but if the base doesn't stay strong, it all falls apart. Okay. So I know I'm giving you a lot of different stuff and maybe getting off track here a little bit, but I find that experience in life, observation in life, watching other people do what they do and learning why and how they do it is one of the greatest teachers of anything. My dad, when we were kids traveling Europe, one of the things he did, we would sit in the great hotels, these great hotels in Europe, and he would just have us watch people. And he said, we're going to sit here for a half hour. Just watch people. Watch how they interact. Watch what they do and tell me what you learned in the last half hour. I'm telling you, observation and learning from observing real life is one of the greatest teachers of anything.
2 quick fire questions for you to finish. Out of all the fights you've seen, not the best fight, which fight has evoked the most emotion in you?
So hard to say that. I've seen every fight in the world and all the fights in the UFC for 24, 25 years. Excellent question. And a question I get asked, in different ways, different times. It's really hard to answer. All I could do is give you examples of great fights. To say one is the one that I got emotional about the most, it ranges. I mean, there's ones where I see people winning and then I'll see BJ Penn in like his next to last, third last fight where his arms are down and he's just taking punches and punches. And this is like my little Hawaiian brother. We've partied together. I know his family, everything. I'm holding back tears watching my little brother get the crap kicked out of him, and not defending himself. That's an emotional moment, right? Then you have an emotional moment when Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner go at it, and you realize that fight meant everything to the future of the UFC, and they gave Stephen Bonner a 6-figure contract, and I jump in the air like a kid, or I go off character and say this is the greatest fight you've ever seen, or however I worded it. That's an emotional moment. There's so many, and that's the beauty of the job. I have one emotional moment or see a great fight, and 2 months later, 2 weeks later, I have another emotional moment, and I see what's the greatest fight I've ever seen. I'm very lucky to do what I do. Love what I do.
Last question I have for you. Out of all the things you've learned in your life, all the lessons, all the experiences, if you had to boil them down to sort of one defining lesson or message that you would give to every person on the planet, what would Bruce Buffer's message to the world be?
Honesty is the best policy. Don't lie. I lie at the poker table because it's legal. I want all your chips. I'm doing business with you. I'm in a relationship with you. I'm in a friendship with you. You're my family. Don't lie. You lie to me, I don't care how much money we make, what level we're at in our friendship. I'm gone. I'm done. You know, I don't like liars. I don't like conceited, arrogant people. The thing about telling lies is you're not fulfilling a positive destiny for yourself. You have to spend too much time thinking about the lies you told, who you told them to back them up in the future. It's a complete waste of time, right? Go in there, be the best you can be honest, be direct, look them in the eye, make yourself known, make your mark in life, and be a role model to everybody around you, and teach how to teach, and be the best at what you can do, because that way people will look up to you. And if you're a leader, lead by example. Don't tell people to do something if you can't do it yourself, okay? Unless you're a policeman or whatever and you're doing the law, or you're a CEO and you're whatever. I'm just saying, if you're going to tell somebody how to do something, then come from a point of experience and expert and being an expert, you know. Otherwise, learn it and then teach it. I gave you a
Bruce,
few things there. I'm sorry.
thank you so much for the value you've brought to our audience today. It's an absolute honor. I've been a lifelong fan of yours,
Oh, thank
and
you.
best of skill on the weekend, my friend.
I appreciate it very much. And if anybody out there wants a motivating like championship introduction to get you going, if you're really a UFC fan, I will do an audio or a video for you. And I'm not trying to sell anything, because I know there's a small price to pay, but they're so inexpensive. And we give partial proceeds to COVID-19 animal, military, and children charities. But we're so busy with that, and people are looking for entertainment with their stay-at-home sequestering we're going through right now. And that's another thing. We'll get through this. We'll be stronger than ever, but do what you have to do in your local areas, your communities, to follow the rules of safety so we can beat this pandemic and come back stronger than ever. And one last little bit of advice. By the way, the recordings, and I'll check out brucebuffer.com, and I'm happy to take your requests, and I'll do what I can. Keep them classy and everything will be good. Now's the time when you're home alone, you should concentrate on being in the best physical and mental shape you can be in. I personally have lost 15 pounds, not because I was overweight. I was in fine shape. I'm in better shape now. I'm getting in the best physical and mental shape, and I'm 63 years old, and I'm still tackling it. And I always have been an athlete my whole life, because the world is our oyster, and you've got to be in the best health. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how much you have. If you don't have the health to enjoy it all, you'll see it's not going to be as much fun, right?
Exactly,
So,
man. I'm feeling so motivated. I'll make sure to link the website and the place where you can order those videos in the description below for everyone, so they can go and click and
oh,
check
it's
it
very
out there.
nice of you. I appreciate that. And put it out and tag me so I can shoot it out to my people.
Thank you so much,
Not my
sir.
people, my followers. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, my man. Have a great day, and we'll connect soon.
Thank you so much. Big cheers and no fear forever. Give it all 100%. Take care, buddy.
Absolutely.
Be
Goodbye.
good. Bye.